Hi guys, Christ is risen. It is bright Monday, 2014, and that means it's the day after Easter. And I wanted to answer a question that I get all the time, and I have a feeling that most people who volunteer in prisons, religious or not, probably get, which is, what's the hardest part about it? That's a personal thing, it's an opinion question, and uh, I never quite know what to say because I could go on and on and on and on and on. For the sake of being succinct here, for the sake of brevity, I have two answers to that because there are two issues that I can't choose between them. The first one is being lied to. Okay, inmates are notorious for lying and being deceptive, and those aren't the same thing, by the way. Lying is telling you something that's completely not true. Deceiving is telling you things that may be true, but they're counting on you to interpret them in a different way. That's like saying, well, we fought and then the gun went off, and it's like, yeah, the gun went off because you shot him in the face. That's how deception works. Anyway, now it's really none of my business if people are gonna be telling me little white lies about their case. Sometimes they do it because they're embarrassed and they don't want me to think that they're bad people, and I don't think so. And I always tell them that. I'm like, guys, I don't care why you're here. Some of you are innocent, most of you aren't. Whatever, there, but for the grace of God go I. I've done bad things too. So just you don't feel like I'm judging you, because I'm really not. I mean, I've got my own sins going on, so. But I guess sometimes that's difficult for them to do, especially because when you are in prison, the whole world outside is judging you. So that's something I've had to get over, is just the deception. Now, most people, myself included, we tell white lies all the time. The classic white lie is, "Hey, how you doing today?" "Oh, I'm fine." And it's like, yeah, right, sure, of course you are. So I just try not to think about it too much, because ultimately it really doesn't matter to me. It doesn't change anything for me if they lie to me about their case or not, or if they lie to me about, why their arrest was illegal or something. It doesn't, because I'm there for one reason. I'm there to bring the gospel, okay? So as long as I'm not lying to them, we're cool, But that's definitely the first thing. Nobody likes being lied to. So for the first couple months that I did this, I kind of took it personally, and just finally after a while I realized that it wasn't about me anyway. It never should be about me. And at this point I don't really even think about it very much. And if I notice it, that's par for the course, really. I'm more concerned about, am I being honest with them? Am I being real with them? And also, I guess to be more specific about it, you have to learn how to love someone without trusting them. And that's hard. At least it's been hard for me. Because, for example, in a relationship with, a spouse, friends, family, whatever, you want to have a rapport with somebody that's based on trust. Well, in the prison system, it's a little bit different than that. It can be based on, and it must be based on, compassion. But with that kind of caveat that I'm loving you in spite of the lies you may be trying to get me to believe about you. Or not. That's another thing, isn't it? You shouldn't assume that everyone is a filthy liar. Don't do that, So I try to conduct myself according to the following principle, which is, I will believe someone until they give me a reason not to. And even if they give me a reason not to, it doesn't mean I don't love them. It doesn't mean that I'm going to stop seeing them or writing them, whatever. It's just kind of, okay, I know you're lying, moving on. Anyway, the second difficult thing, and this is the more serious one for me, is having to really do psychological and emotional business with some of these really serious, heinous crimes, okay? Because most of the guys that I work with in person, you've got drug cases, DUI, delinquent child support, assault, battery, usually drug-related or stealing things to pay for drugs. But then there's also, there's murderers in there. And actually, and this is going to sound so callous, I don't believe I'm going to say this, but honestly, it doesn't really bother me to deal with murderers. Okay? I think I said a couple weeks ago that we have one guy who's coming who stabbed a homeless individual over 70 times and is currently on, he's up for the death penalty. It doesn't bother me. Of course, that's a horrible crime. But it doesn't keep me up at night, believe it or not. What really I find difficult is dealing with people who have committed crimes against children. And a lot of times, but not always, they're sexual crimes. Actually, the worst crime against a child that I've ever experienced in terms of working with somebody who committed the crime was not a sexual crime at all. It was an exorcism gone wrong, or what the parents of the child are calling an exorcism, but that's not really what it was, but that's what they're saying it was. But I received a letter from this individual, and as he and I have been corresponding, of course, I wanted to learn more about the case, so I had to read the files that were available. And a couple days before Pascha, about a week ago, for better or worse, I read the complete list of the deceased child's injuries, and I almost threw up. That's how bad it was. And I'm going to start being very inarticulate here because I'm dancing around giving you too much information because I don't want to ruin your day. Okay? Trust me. I kind of wish that I did not have this information. It was so bad. I literally almost had to go into the bathroom and throw up, and I don't throw up when I'm disturbed like that normally, so that's how bad that was. And it's not even, having to say, okay, well, look, I got a letter from him today. Oh, he's the one that did this and this and this to a little baby. What is the most difficult part for me is knowing, okay, for example, I know the date that this occurred, okay? Thinking back to that day, and it's my father's birthday, is the day when this whole thing went down. And so I think about, what was I doing then? Was I sitting here making, silly YouTube videos? Or what was I doing? Was I, snuggling with my cats? Was I teaching piano lessons? What was I doing while this child was being tortured to death? Right? And these are the thoughts that come. And then the thoughts say, well, you did nothing to stop it. Me. And I have to be careful with that because guess what? There is no rewind button on life. So me beating myself up over this stuff helps no one. It does not help this poor deceased child. It doesn't help the people who are now on death row because they killed this child. It doesn't help anyone. So when my mental state starts to go there, I have to, pray to God for discernment and vigilance and realize that I'm kind of crossing the line between being empathetic and having, compunction and trying to appreciate the people in my own life more when I read about the horrible things that other people do to each other. But I'm kind of crossing the line into despondency and despair, and that is no longer useful. So that's the hardest part for me. But you know what? I have to do it. If you're going to work in a prison system, and I know I'm not paid to do this, but if I'm going to work spiritually with people who are incarcerated, I have to be willing to accept some of that pain, that painful knowledge of knowing exactly how depraved people get. And it's bad, guys. It's real bad. But as I can't fix the problem for the world, okay? No one person can. Actually, no person can except Jesus Christ. But at least by doing whatever I can, I'm trying to maybe improve the situation a wee little bit. And it is a very wee little bit, but if enough of us try to do this, there is a positive change by God's grace. So, do I feel sometimes like I'm running in a hamster ball and not really getting anywhere? Sometimes. Although, to be honest, not often. I usually feel like, okay, as long as I'm going in there and I'm trying to stay out of the way. I'm trying to be a conduit for God, for Jesus Christ, and not a conduit for my own ego. I feel pretty good about it at the end of the night. Not always, but usually. So it's one of those painful things that is necessary. So, That's really about it. I don't think I can say too much more about that without giving you more details than, believe me, than you want. You don't want to know a lot of this nasty details. So those are, for me, the two hardest things. Everything else, it's actually pretty easy. I mean, dealing with prison guards, easy. Dealing with most of the inmates, it's pretty easy. Because, do you know why? At the end of the night, I get to leave. Glory to God. I get to walk out that door and go home. So, even if I'm having a night where the inmates are being rude, and we have to kick a lot of people out because they're talking, or they're passing notes, or they're passing drugs, whatever, I figure, well, I did my best. And my buddies, who also go in, did their best. So, the rest is up to God. So, anyway, I hope that answers your question. And I'm going to get going because I have another video to pump out hopefully in a few minutes. So I'm going to go set that up and I will see you in a bit. So thank you so much for watching and subscribing and liking. Please, 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 please subscribe. Please, please, double please. Even if you're already subscribed, click the like button. It really super helps. Thank you so much and God bless you. And I will see you in the next clip. Bye.